Mustad's the most traditional brand in the farrier industry. It stands for our core values. It stands for quality and tradition.
Quality and consistency. I don't see there's a better brand on the market.
The farriers really has to rely on the product. And that's what's driving us to work hard with quality.
You can always rely on them. So it's always been there, it's like family.
They've got so many products and they all work together so well. It makes shoeing horses a hell of a lot easier.
By making sure that our products always have the highest quality and the highest consistency.
Mustad Hoofcare are a 7th-generation family-run business that has established itself as a market-leading brand within the equine and hoof care industry. For nearly 2 centuries, Mustad have pioneered and developed market-leading metal-based products. But to understand how Mustad became a brand trusted by farriers and horse owners globally, we need to rewind all the way back to 1832. Hans Sikkelstad, a farmer from Gjøvik, a small town in Norway, had a dream to start a nail and wire factory. He eventually started the Brusvin Nail and Wire Factory in his hometown. The factory quickly became one of Norway's leading suppliers of small metal products like nails, fish hooks, fencing wire, paper clips, thumbtacks, and many other wire-based products. Hans successfully ran the factory until his death in 1843, and the daily running of the business was taken over by his late wife and son-in-law, Ola Mustad. When Ola Mustad took over the factory, it was working at capacity, struggling to meet growing demand or deal with the ever-growing competition. This forced Ola to adapt quickly in order to survive, leading to the development of modern automated machinery.
We developed a machine to be able to cold forge nails before they were heated up. Small pieces of metal were heated up and then forged by hand into nails. Then we developed a machine that could do that cold. And then we really expanded into, and that gave us a huge market share on horseshoe nails.
With the advantage of a mechanized cold forged nail, they could go down 10% in the price and have a perfect nail, each nail being equal to the others. Whereas all the others were hot forged, and that means that no 2 nails are ever the same.
By the 1870s, Norway was seeing a huge upturn in construction and building, and the demand for nails was high. This rapid growth led to Ola's son Hans joining the business. In 1874, the business changed its name to O. Mustad & Son. In 1876, transportation costs were high, and the decision was made to move the production of heavier products to Oslo, a central location with good links to other markets along the coast. At this time, Hans took over the daily running of O. Mustad & Son. During this period, horses were still the only option for travel throughout Europe. These horses required shoes and nails, and Mustad was already offering horseshoe nails as part of their product offering since the 1860s. Matthias Topp, a long-serving and exceptionally skilled factory manager, had developed 3 fully automated advanced horseshoe nail manufacturing machines, and in 1882, Mustad became the largest manufacturer of horseshoe nails in Europe. Hans could see the enormous potential of the export market for his products, and despite trade restrictions and large import duties, he decided the best way to expand would be opening manufacturing facilities in new European markets. From here, Mustad opened factories in both Finland and France.
One place I know very well is the place in France, Duclair, where it started with having 80 Norwegians coming over with some Swedes over to this town which had 2,000 people. And we established that everyone would get a house, a family would get a house, and a nice place to live, and also a nice place to go to the factory.
The horseshoe nail market by this time was constantly evolving, and new manufacturing methods in England had caused a price war. Mustad needed to react and create new, efficient manufacturing methods, which led to the development of the first cold nail machine, pioneered by Hans' son, Claren, in collaboration with Matthias Topp. In 1898, O. Mustad & Son switched manufacturing from Norway to Sweden. The market there was larger and they would face lower import duties, increasing profitability. From here, Mustad Fors was founded. Located on a river spanning from Norway to Gothenburg in Sweden, Mustad Fors grew to become a community.
Founded by Mustad family here because of its position in Sweden, and also along this lake and stream to get transport to the port of Gothenburg, but also for the water power for the machines.
And Mustad Fors became the center of the technological evolution for the horse nail machines after a while.
The factory housed the newly developed cold nail machines and continues to innovate and lead the way in horseshoe nail manufacturing there to this day. The cold nail machines led the way for rapid expansion throughout Europe, and by the 1920s, Mustad established and acquired factories in every major European market, employing 15,000 people. Fast forward, and the Second World War hit hard. Every Mustad factory in Eastern Europe had been nationalized, losing over 8,000 of its employees to the Iron Curtain. Factories in Germany and France were destroyed due to bombings. Despite its huge losses, the strength and scale of the company allowed Mustad to survive, and by the end of the war, they were still Europe's largest horseshoe nail manufacturer. In 1977, the company took another turn. Cousins Christian and Ola Mustad founded Mustad International.
They were heavily involved in the industry, and when they came in and they took over the company, they had to really reduce our manufacturing footprint because we just had too much capacity and the market was shrinking at that time.
Steel wire was the new core of the business, and there was expansion into the Hoofcare sector, adding horseshoes and farrier tools to the Mustad portfolio. Mustad began expanding this portfolio even further with the acquisition of Cape Whale Nails in 1995 and North America's St. Croix Forge in 1999. In Latin America, Mustad International acquired Imco Clavos in Colombia in 1998, Matthias Borg in Brazil, a horseshoe factory in Tres Arroyos in Argentina, and even a competitor in Chile, and became the major supplier of horseshoes and nails across South America.
They're the ones who got us into the US. They bought companies in the US and then built up the US for us, and also Latin America. They went out through all of Latin America and expanded there as well.
They bought Imco Clavos, but immediately started investing. The owner's vision on the Latin American market overall is being really fast forward.
In 1995, the Basic Shoe Factory in the Netherlands was acquired along with O'Dwyer in Australia, Nadas in Turkey, New Zealand Horseshoe Company in New Zealand, and Indian Nails in New Delhi. Mustad also established a horseshoe nail factory in Morocco.
I guess the biggest influence was starting producing horseshoes when we bought Basic in the late 80s.
So I think one of the big moments that defined us is when we decided to go into horseshoes. Before we were supplying all the big horseshoe manufacturers, they were our biggest clients. And then we realized that we needed to go into more products than just the horseshoe nail. So then we started building up horseshoe factories. And then we bought St. Croix, we bought Basic in Holland. And then in the span of 10 years, we became the biggest horseshoe manufacturers in the world.
In 2003, management was handed over to Claren and Hans Mustad, the seventh generation.
When my cousin and I took over the company, our parents believed, and at that time it was the right strategy to grow market share, that each factory should compete against each other. And so what we worked very hard for is to get everybody to work together and to go focus in the right direction. And I truly believe that right now we have 600 people that are working together towards the same goal. Whereas before we had groups of 50 working against each other in a way. So
first thing we did was 1 week in each factory in the whole group to really learn the business in depth. And we did that for 1.5 years around. And afterwards, Hans and myself both went into the CEO roles.
Under new management, Mustad continued to forge forward, focusing on innovation, marketing, and sales. 2006, and the seventh generation bought the company from their fathers. The company became the Mustad Hoofcare Group, and Heller International, the world's leading rasp manufacturer, joined the Mustad portfolio.
In 2006, when Clara and I took over the business, we got, and I still remember getting a call from Simons in the US asking us if we wanted to take over Heller. So we bought that in 2007, moved it to Colombia, and now it's the best rasp in the market.
Heller rasps have been a great benefit to the farrier industry. When I started, rasps were short, thick, didn't have many teeth. The teeth went in both directions. They didn't have tangs. I've no idea how we've shod horses as well as we did. With Mustad's acquisition of Heller and their big investment in technology, now the farriers have the best rasps to use every day.
The Mustad Hoofcare Group was now a truly global brand. Mustad's commitment to the industry has always been important, supporting farriers globally through competitions and educational ventures.
Mustad were very instrumental in the global community of farriers. When I started, there wasn't much international communication between farriers. And Mustad sponsored Calgary, the World Championships. And I went there about the third year they had it on. And Bob Marshall, an inspirational guy, won that World Championship. Mustad had taken a chance on a young person. They sponsored me to go there. And I learned so much. And from then on, it was making the farrier industry more and more international, more and more global, so that we're one family.
Partnership with that competition of the Stampede solidified its entity within the farrier market. The top of the top farriers in the world using Mustad products, and that kind of cemented that as a brand there anyway.
Every contest you went to, there's been some sort of Mustad sponsorship, right from apprentice level all the way up to the World Championship. Mustad were always there.
Mustad's passion for education remains prominent, and each year hundreds of clinics are held with leading farriers and Mustad brand ambassadors across the globe.
So I think the hoofcare industry has changed a lot over the last 20 years. I think you have seen a huge increase in the knowledge of farriers, of the quality of farriers. So I think actually I'm very proud of that. I think we have played a big role in that through all of our clinics, and because I mean, we do basically a clinic everywhere in the world. Learn tricks and trades throughout the world. We've used clinicians such as Grant Moon, Axel Wibbe, and Steve Beeney, a lot of names that you've heard out there to help us teach farriers how to improve their work, especially in Latin America, but also in Europe and in the US.
So Mustad have always been the pioneers, the innovation of farriery, so they're always pushing clinicians like myself around the world to increase the standards of farriery.
It's vitally important, isn't it? I mean, is there any other company in the world that does as many events as Mustad do?
And I think that Mustad taken that role in a way, that they take responsibility within the industry to share knowledge. They sponsor so many clinics.
I think the education is the most important thing that we contributed.
Online, Mustad continues to pioneer with video tutorials, tips and tricks, and live-streamed clinics, creating a global online community between farriers to share knowledge. Today, Mustad continues to push the boundaries of innovation. Horseshoe nails are part of Mustad's DNA, and for 190 years, they have innovated and shaped farrier products, production methods, materials, and design.
It is really in the DNA of the company.
It was the leading nail then and still the leading nail now.
Quickly became obvious that Mustad were the best quality nails in the world.
We really strive to make life easier for the farriers, and especially on the nails. If you look at the nails has to drive exactly the same way every time.
It's, I like to compare the nail like with a surgery tool. We actually nail it into a living animal. So it has to be precise. It has to work every single hoof on the whole horse, every day, every week, month after month. And the farriers really has to rely on the product.
The Endura coating, that's the guy that came up with that. That was a bit of a genius.
Endura is a coated nail with about 15 microns of thickness of like a nickel mix, and then baked in a furnace with Teflon. So the combination there makes a thin nail strong as a thicker nail, but also the Teflon makes the nail drive with less effort.
The biggest change was that was the pitch head on the ESL nail.
The pitch nail itself is a great concept, having a crank on the head to create an artificial pitch, so you drive you can drive the nail through the shoe.
Pitch is an angled head. We put, if you compare a regular, like an E-slim nail, we put about 21 to 22 degrees angle on the head to reduce pressure on the hoof side and also have a perfect fit.
Mustad continues to push the boundaries of horseshoe manufacturing, innovating and incorporating features into prefabricated shoes that make the everyday life of the farrier easier.
Probably the development of the Equilibrium shoe and subsequently the Equilibrium Concord. Mike Van Heeld came up with the idea and the concept, and of creating that state of equilibrium, easing the brake over the horse. Many brands have tried to follow suit, but I don't believe they can replicate it as well as Mustad can make it.
With the development of the Equilibrium toe, it's made the farrier's life easier. Anecdotally, we knew the benefits of the roll toe, but when science came into it and they were able to measure it, the benefits of the Equilibrium toe and breakover were proved, and it's been just a massive move forward for the farrier and the farrier industry.
Heller pushes the boundaries of rasp technology. Heller is regarded as the world's best rasp and is trusted by leading farriers around the world.
From the supply of the materials, we always make sure that it's always consistent. We test all the raw materials that we get to make sure it's consistent and has the right characteristics that we need. We do an extensive amount of quality check throughout the whole factory, and our factories will be, the one in Colombia is already ISO 9000 certified, and the rest of our factories are also going to be ISO 9000 certified.
As Mustad moves into its 190th year, it's important to look forward and evolve, tackling the modern-day challenges of climate change and sustainability.
Well, we've always held ourselves at a higher standard, making sure that we are at least at the local level, if not higher, on an environmental side. Also now, Clara and myself, we have decided that we want to be carbon neutral by 2025.
We really need to be forward-thinking within the equine industry. First, we need to start with the farriers. We need to provide them with better digital tools so that they themselves are able to manage their own business even better.
We're always coming out with new products. We always try to improve the products that we have and come up with new, more innovative products. One project that we're working on now is a farrier app called the Equinet app, we've launched in Australia, that will help the farrier manage his business on a day-to-day basis and make his life easier doing that.
Today, Mustad employs people across multiple countries, supplies horseshoes and nails to every major market, and its commitment to making life easier for farriers and horses has never been more important.
The way Mustad makes my life easier is, number one, I can rely on the products. I don't have to doubt the products at all. It always works, they're easy to get. But it also makes my life as a farrier better.
Make life easier for farriers is something that Hans is passionate about himself. And for me, I think the development of product and the innovation, constant innovation of the product is to try and make every day our lives easier as farriers.
So we try to make life easier for a farrier by providing them with education, as we've talked about, providing with all these videos, but principally by making sure that our products always have the highest quality and the highest consistency. So they always know. They don't have to look. They don't have to look at the nail to see if it's good, if there's anything wrong with it. They just know. They can pick it out of the box, drive it in. They don't even have to look at it. They know. Same with the shoes. They will always know exactly how to manage or handle it because it's always the same and it's always got the right qualities.
Mustad may be 190 years old, but its dedication to produce the most innovative, high-quality products in the horseshoe industry has never been stronger.